controlling the pandemic, such as Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, Sanna Marin, the Prime Minister of Finland, and Tsai Ing-wen, the President of Taiwan. Their outstanding performance in leadership is one of the lucky things during the whole world public health crisis. Besides, the first female Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, was elected a few years ago. All that signifies a powerful strategy toward gender equality, which is empowering women in public affairs and politics. That is why we are here today. But gender equality issue is never easy in Asian countries because of some male preference traditions. With the promise for the 2030 agenda for SDGs, we should leave no one behind on the road to gender equality. Okay, next today, I am very, very pleased to have 5 speakers from Taiwan, Japan, and Korea. First one is Dr. Peng Yan-Wen Peng from Taiwan. Well, Dr. Peng, want to wave your hand, okay? She's the professor of public affairs management at National Sun Yat-sen University in Southern Taiwan. She also serves as executive board member of the National Alliance of Taiwan Women's Association. And the next one is Miss Xiaozhen Xiong from Taiwan. She served Ms. Xiong. She serves as the executive committee in Taiwan Obasan Political Equality Party. Obasan is a word originated from Japanese. In Taiwan, it means middle-aged women. Okay, and next is Dr. Mari Miura from Japan. Hello, Dr. Miura. She is the professor of political science, faculty of law in Sophia University in Japan. She is also the co-founder of Academy for Gender Parity. And the last one is Dr. Jinluk Lee from Korea. Dr. Lee, could you?
Hello, sorry to join you late.
Okay, it's okay. She's a former director of the Korea Women's Political Solidarity and also a foundation member of the Women's Party in Korea. Okay, and the last one is me, myself. I'm Jin Yi. I'm the researcher of the Gender Equality Office in Taipei City Government. And I joined this office since its very beginning in 2014. So the order of the presentation will be Dr. Peng, the first one, and then Ms. Xiong, the second one, and me, the third one, and Dr. Miura, the fourth one. And the last one is Dr. Lee. And each speaker has 10 to 15 minutes for presentation. So now I will give the floor to our first speaker, Dr. Peng. Please. You can turn on your microphone.
Sorry. Okay, let me share my PowerPoint with you. How do I do this? Okay, so how? Oh, okay. Can you see? I think. Let me see. How do I share my screen? How do I share my screen? Actually, I don't know where to. No, I couldn't find my screen. Hello?
最底下有一排按钮，分享画面，绿色的。
对，但是它会，然后呢，它会，
你点了之后，
你的机器不支援不搭绿幕的虚拟，这什么东西啊？OK，我现在看，哦，OK，sorry。 here. In this sense, we think as a women's group, we need to create the intervention. And that is why in 2018, that is the election year. And we decided to launch the campaign to empower more women to run for the village chiefs. Okay, and this is our logo. As you see, if you understand Chinese, there is a word Li, that means village. And you see a women's icon here, and voting and sign for signifies vote. So anyway, this is a logo that is very interesting. And we have been using this logo for 3 years. So that's the background of our campaign. And now I goes to our purposes, process, and results. So basically, the main purposes of our campaign is to encourage more women to run for village chief and build their networks. And to do so, we need to familiarize women trainees with election campaign tactics and local politics. And in addition to these two goals, the two purposes here are more about the quantity of women, right? To get more women elected. In addition to so, we also have two other purposes that is about the quality of our trainees. And so we want not just biological women to get elected, we hope they also have feminist perspectives. So we want to empower women trainees with more gender equality perspectives. And also we want them to be very progressive community organizers. So we want to empower women trainees with more community building capacities. So for that purposes, we had 6 workshops in 2018 within about 3 months or 4 months. So it's very exhausting at that time. We had 5 two-day workshops in 5 different metropolitan cities in July and August. And there were about 160 attendees. And then we invite those who are really determined to run for the election to join our final special training 2-day and 1-night workshop in September. And in this workshop, we also include a half-day forum with women's NGO leaders, and we held a press conference. So here are the typical topics that were included in our workshops. So except for election campaign and tactics sharing, we have some talk about women's leadership and community building strategies. And we talk about domestic violence prevention, assist economic disadvantaged residents, and we will introduce food bank and community refrigerators. These are very environmental friendly and initiatives, and also are helping the more economic disadvantaged residents. And we introduce community-based elderly care and the concept of aging in place. And we introduce what kind of environment would be more accessible to people with disabilities. And we introduce how to renovate your neighborhood park, and talk about the issues about stray cats and dogs. So basically we covered important topics to be a good village chiefs. Okay. So for example, here are two photos that we show the trainees and ask them, what can you do when you become the village chiefs? You can do something to make the environment more friendly. And my cat is joining me. And you can make the the park more accessible to the elderly and to the children. So here I'm showing some photos we had in different workshops. This is in Taipei and Kaohsiung and Taichung, Taoyuan, and Tainan. And this is a photo of the opening remark. And here in the middle speaking is Chen Xiuhui. She was the chair of NATWA at that time, and also the main initiator of this whole project. And we invite both male and female village chiefs who are doing very good. We invite these role models for our trainees. And we also have some group dynamics between the lectures, so people know to use this kind of exercise to motivate your community residents. And after 2 days training, they will receive a certificate. Also, in the process, we found that our trainees were building their own networks. They will share experiences and which shop you can buy clothes and which shop you can produce your flyers and so on. Okay. So this is a special training workshop. I mentioned many of them are determined to run for the election. So the talk there is more about election. So how do you make a speech? How do you shake hands with your residents? And how do you treat your opponent when you meet them? This kind of practical lessons. And this is the forum I mentioned. We invite women NGO leaders to have a dialogue with our trainees and to show their expectations for these trainees. And we have an event to award a battle flag for each trainee, so which then can win the election. And this is during our press conference. So, and also we had an action to run and break this red line of 14%.
Dr. Peng, you have 2 minutes left.
Oh, okay. So the press conference, yeah, we attracted quite some media coverage. And the result is that eventually we had about 40 trainees join the election, about 1/4 of all our trainees. And at least 14 women elected. I said at least because maybe there were some trainees who won the election but didn't report it to us. So this is what who have reported to us. So this is quite a high election rate. I mean, but of course, it's not all our achievements. I think they were who they really put effort to win the election. But after the election, we felt that we cannot just do nothing, and until the election year we jump up and then say I want to run for the village chief. We think that maybe it's kind of late for many of our trainees who didn't win the election. we think maybe we should encourage them to start their campaign much earlier. So we decided to continue this project. And so for the past 2 years, we had similar 2-day workshops in 2019 and last year, 2020, although there was pandemic, but in Taiwan, we are relatively safe. So we still have 5 workshops. And also we emphasize that community building is not just the means to win the election, it is also the goal, because the purpose is to, the purpose of our participation is to improve our community, right? So we think to get power is not the sole purpose. The point is how will you use this power to improve the life of your neighborhood.
Dr. Bong, you are over time, so please summarize.
Okay, so this, and also another thing we do now is we collect best practice. And that's why, that's what I say, we want to have more feminist village chiefs, not only just women village chiefs. So we are going to publish a handbook and to publish these good practices to empower more people who want to run for the village chiefs. Okay, this is the last slide. So thank you for your attention. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you for Dr. Peng's speech. It's very informative and very wonderful. Okay, so Dr. Peng, you have to stop sharing your screen so we can go back to the webinar mode. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. The next one is Xiaozhen Xiong. Miss Xiong, the floor is yours. Okay, thank you. Time is 15 minutes. Please control time. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Xiong Shuozhen, the Public Relations Major for Taiwan Obasang Political Equality Party. It's my honor to be here and share how Obasang does grassroots women's political participation and empowerment. Taiwan Obasang Political Equality Party is a political party composed of 90% women from a wide range of backgrounds, including homemakers, single mothers, education professionals, laborers, PhDs, and handicapped. Most of them are from parents participation education group. The idea is practice democracy education from families and improving children's rights. Since mid-2016, we have held politics workshops every 3 months. We have invited other small political parties, including Thai Power Party, Green Party, and Social Democratic Party, to share their political participation experience. In this workshop, we discussed transitional justice, abolishing the death penalty, opposition to nuclear power, gender equality education, and marriage equality. So Taiwan's political system was designed with several barriers to participation, the worst of which are money and personal networks. Our stance is that extreme financial and social requirements for political participations are anti-democratic. Politics should not be a high wall that blocks the people, and the people should have fair participation in politics. When we began organizing, we felt that the social obstacles for women who wanted to participate in politics are much higher than for men. Therefore, a a political group elected entirely by women was conceived. And as this picture, you can see, in Taiwan, we have the lowest basic salary, but highest election deposit money compared to other countries. And in 2018, these local mothers participated in county and city council elections with no party status, without the support of any consortium or significant marketing resource. They still raised 3.88 million Taiwan dollars in security deposit through small donate fundraising. In the election results, none of the candidates was elected, but more than 70% of candidates got their election deposit back. Yeah. And this is what we care about. Our 8 core values are political equality and children's rights, a parent-child friendly society, environmental justice, gender equality, animal protection, defending Taiwan's sovereignty, and labor rights. And this is our public participation of family. You can see like we always go on the street with kids. And in 2016, we successfully lobbied Taiwan Railway to add dedicated parent-child carriage to trains. We also work with cities to reject canned children's park in favor of interactive playgrounds. And our party has been among the most vocal groups advocating for sexual and gender equality issue. In addition, we have taken strong public position on anti-air pollution, Taoyuan algae, anti-labor laws, and tree protection operations. And here is our election strategy. With limited resource, we use 5 main election strategies to reach voters: social media aids, political press conference, street speech, and person-to-person contact, media interviews, and flash mobs. And this is how we do street flash mobs. And on the left side, the picture says like, can you be yourself after you being a mom? And top of the right side is about environmental justice. And the bottom part of the right side is about gender equality education. And this is real life during the election. And the person who in the picture is our candidate, Evelyn Liu. And from the picture, you can see ordinary citizens who want to participate in electoral process face a special set of challenges. They usually need to balance their political work with their career and their family life while dealing with the financial burden of running a campaign. In addition, because our group is composed of homeschooling families, our political candidates devote considerable personal time to managing their children's education. As a result, our campaign relies on group effort and polling results. Children themselves are involved through classes that introduce them to the democratic process and give them the opportunities to experience it through actual street activism. And the final aspect of our commitment to democratic principles is our adoption of a flat value structure for our candidates. We emphasize the importance of voting for value, not personality. So we do not have any superstar. We do not have any superstar leaders or spokespeople. And here's our future development. First one, hold political workshop every 6 months. Second, postpartum recovery parenting care team. We invited the education group and party members to join this project, which provides children's rights and children rearing education to stay-at-home moms. This initiative also offers economic and personal support to homemakers. We are aggressively seeking to expand these projects through government grants. And the third one, Mother for Clean Energy, neighborhood organizations. We have always adhered to and implemented an anti-nuclear stance in our local organization. Based on source, one last nuclear power plant. We are cooperating with environmental NGOs to organize workshops, while leveraging our memberships, collective sites to launch broad-based energy-saving initiatives. This also allows us to train homemakers as home energy-saving consultants, giving them professional training and leadership development. Ultimately, this project integrates our priorities for clean energy advocacy, personal training, and local organization. Fourth, the second-hand economy and homemaker service project is attempting to build economic independence for homemakers. Fifth, Divorced Women's Independence Project will provide legal consulting and publishing a directory of divorce resource. As you can see, managing small parties is not easy. We hope that the government can provide more support to small parties and lower barriers to political participation for regular citizens, particularly women. The real implementation of women's equal political rights, a real space for diverse voice, are basic requirements for authentic democracy. We work very hard, and it is indeed challenging to balance our effort with the reality of daily life. Despite these obstacles, we look forward to help Taiwan's diverse women participate in politics and find a way toward equality. And those things is about. Some of them are documentary about Obasa. So, and if you have time, then you can check it. But my speech is finished, and thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Zhong. Thank you for your very informative speech and about the very local mothers participate in the local politics. Okay, so now let's move on to my presentation. Okay, so sorry, I have to switch the screen, and I have to share my PowerPoint. Okay, so everyone can see it. Okay, let me play the first one. Okay, I have to set a time for myself. Sorry. Okay, so everyone can see the slides. Okay. Nice to see you all of you online. And Jinyi, I have introduced myself. On behalf of Gender Equality of Taipei City Government, I'm going to share Taipei's experience on women empowerment in public participation. So I will focus on Taipei, okay? And first I will go through female participation in politics and the local community by showing some numbers to everyone. And secondly, I will give a very brief introduction about participatory budgeting system in Taipei and how it influences women in public participation. And finally, I will ask 2 questions about how and why. So let's see the background and numbers. Just Dr. Pong has shared with everyone. In Taiwan, we have the first female president since 2016. That's very, very extraordinary. Okay, President Tsai Ing-wen, she was elected in 2016 and 2020, and now it's her second term. And another surprising figure is female legislators is about 41.6% in parliament, the most seats ever, and also the highest number among Asian countries. So that's not easy. These numbers are about national level. So let's move on to the local level. Female city councilor, city and county mayors account for 31.8%. So we have 7 city county mayors now. And female county or city councilors account for more than 1/3. That is the most ever. But female village chiefs are only 16.6%. So let's see, after the glance of female participation in Taiwan, let's move on to the female community leaders in Taipei. So Taipei is the capital city of Taiwan. About female community leader, you can see female village chiefs, and there's the presidents of community developing associations. The female account for 35%. And the chairs of market self-governance organizations, female account for 27%. So why this message here is important? Because they are potential to run for political seats in the future. And another number I want to show you is female cast proposals of participatory budgeting in Taipei. They are 50%. This number shows good or bad. I think it's definitely good. And why? Let's see the numbers changing over the past few years. Okay. During the election of village chief, female candidates and the elected have been increasing by each term. As you can see the trend. And female elected are up to nearly 50% of the female candidates. So what does that mean? It means every 2 women running for this position, one of them will get elected. That is a big progress in Taipei. Apart from village chiefs, let's see the community leaders. Female participation in community developing associations is quite interesting. And why? So you can see on this chart, women are more than men in the numbers of volunteers and members. But number of presidents, women only take up 31% to 35%. That is what I mean interesting, the glass ceiling in public participation. Okay, even with glass ceiling problem, the number of female presidents in Taipei is higher than national average. In addition, female share of market self-governance organizations in Taipei are gradually increasing over past 10 years, but still less than 30%. What I just present is to show you the whole picture of female public participation in Taipei. Next, I'm going to introduce the participatory budgeting. What is participatory budgeting? It is a system everyone can propose if he or she wants to do something good for his or her community. People's ideas will be put into policy making, most importantly with budget from government. The key point to empower women in public participation is lower entry barriers, and the resource investment. It makes the women with little resource have ways to engage in public affairs and even to be community leaders. So next, let's see the number about participatory budgeting. Female proposals take up over 30%. The number is increasing and higher than 50% over past 2 years. Not only case proposals, but also participants in case design meetings. So every proposal needs to be discussed details by details in case design meetings. So you can see women always more demand, but they get fewer opportunities to participate. So next, I'm going to share some cases very quickly of the female proposers. This is Miss Zheng. She has been a village chief for 18 years. In the past, she served as a volunteer in her community, and then she founded a community development association. As a village chief, she has been managing the community very well. Most residents move into this community and never want to leave. Her community won a lot of prizes every year. And this is Miss Gao. She has been a village chief for more than 10 years. She has been seeking the fund for broadening the sidewalk, as you can see on the slide, the picture of before and the after. She seek the fund for nearly 10 years. She didn't get a breakthrough until she found a way in participatory budgeting, get the resource. Okay, then this is the president of a community development association, and she provided rooms in the community for students after school. So the kids can study and have meals before going back home. This is also funded by participatory budgeting. And this is Miss Huang. She is the chair of Yongchun Market Self-Governance Organization, and she made the traditional market remodeled by participatory budget. So not just for community leaders, local residents and even new immigrants can propose by this budgeting system. In this case, you can see Ms. Ma proposed to help immigrant parents and to understand Taiwan's educational system and how their children can enter better schools. And this is Ms. Ye. She is a mother with 2 kids. She proposed to build an inclusive playground for the children in her neighborhood. This case cost much more than other ones. It's a very huge fund, as you can see. This outcome is good. This playground even draws a lot of attention from other parents in Taipei, the whole city. So as you see those examples and methods, next I want to ask 2 questions. Why is women public participation in Taipei higher than national average? And how does Taipei City empower women to be community leaders? These two questions will be answered from 3 dimensions: urbanization and education, systems and resources. So Taipei is a highly urbanized city. The civic engagement is higher than other cities in Taiwan, especially more and more women with higher education. And the women's financial situation in Taipei is better than national average. As for the systems, Taipei city government has established women's rights promotion institution and implemented gender mainstreaming policy for more than 10 years. In 2014, Gender Equality Office, that's my office, was established for helping all departments in city government to design policies with a gender perspective. So this is one of the reasons why this city is more gender equal and women powerful. As for the resources, participatory budgeting begins in 2015. The resource investment did help more women engage in public affairs because of its low entry barriers. Let's take a look at this slide. Women have little resource, but with government policy and budget, they can start from community leaders and then to political affairs. In addition, participatory budgeting makes women engage in public or political participation more easily. On the one hand, if you are already a community leader, you could have more resources to finish your projects in your community. In general, female community leaders usually have less financial support than male. This system could help them have more opportunities to run for political seats at higher level. On the other hand, if you want to be a community leader or run for the office, the resource would help you earn more reputation. This is a case, there's a case ever that a local resident has proposed for child care public service through participatory budgeting. But for achieving this super goal, she decided to run for city councilors in 2018. Although she didn't win the election, it shows a very big step for women from local to political. So what is the next? What can we do the next? I think we need to make more women, especially more young women, get involved in politics. And thank you. This is my presentation today. So about young women, more young women, I am very look forward to listen to the experiences from Japan and Korea. Thank you. Okay, so I finished my presentation, and next I will invite Dr. Marley Miula.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me, such a great opportunity. And can you see the screen that I'm sharing? Chingy, can you see that?
Yes, sure, we can see
great.
that.
Okay, all right, let me start my presentation. My name is Mari Mira, Professor of Political Science at Sophia University, but also I'm running the Academy for Gender Parity. So I'm so happy to share my experience that I'm running this academy in the last 3 years. And we are really focusing on young women to run for office. So that's the story that I'd like to share with you tonight. Before I get to the what we do at the Academy, I'd like to share the background of the Japanese situation. Unlike Taiwan, which is the highest ratio or standard of women representation in Asia, Japan is the lowest standard. Women make up only 9.9% of the lower house and 22.9% of the upper house. And even at the local level, the number is not that great. At the prefecture level, women make up 11.4%. And at the local municipal assembly level, women make up 14.6%. And if you look at the village chiefs or governors and the mayors, we have only 2 governors out of 47 prefectures, and we have only 2 mayors among 20 big cities, and we have only 32 village chiefs. So we really need women representatives and also women leaders. So 3 years ago, I set up the Academy for Gender Parity, which basically target young women and train young women to run for political office. And our aim is to help women and minorities to fully participate in decision-making processes and also thus create a society that truly respects gender equality and diversity. And we have 2 presidents and co-founders. Me, myself, and also my best friend, Keon Shin. And we are both professors of political science. And we working together on the gender and the politics. And one day we decided that we really need such training opportunities in Japan. And we visited United States and about 14 organizations which provide training program for women to run for office. And we spent about a year and prepare for this Academy for Gender Parity to start. So we set a clear vision, and what we aim is create a society in which inclusion is achieved. So everyone will be included in the society. And also we like to have respect each other. And also we hope to create a society in which we can seek justice. So we like to recruit women who share the vision with us about these 3 visions of the future society. And also we have a mission. We call it like 3 C's: confidence, capacity, and also community. Confidence is that it's often said that women lack confidence. Because of that, women hesitate to run for office. And this is the lesson that I learned from our visit to US training organizations. All the organizations emphasize that women lack confidence. And we are surprised to hear that story because compared to Asian women and also compared to Japanese women, American women seem to be more assertive, but they're saying that women lack confidence. So they're focusing on building confidence. And if American women need that kind of training to build up confidence, Asian women and Japanese women definitely need such training. So we focus on this aspect of training, building confidence. And also we'd like to build the capacity. A capacity to run for office means that participants need to acquire public speech skills because that's essential skills to be required to run for office. And this is something that actually participants can feel like they build speaking capacity. After having some training, it's really surprising that all the participants become a very good speakers. This is very astonishing. So we think that this kind of capacity building, especially focusing on speeching, speeching, public speeches are quite effective and inspire participants to run for office. And also we really think that community building is very important. just like Dr. Yen Wen-Pen said, a community building it's really the goal. It's not just the means. And politics is not really individual act. We take the community. So by running this Academy for Gender Parity, we really expect that participants will make their own communities and also cultivate sisterhood. So we focus on the 3 C's, and then we have several programs to encourage young women. We have public speech training courses, and we have like a 3-day leadership training camps, and also various theme-based practical seminars. And we also train leadership trainers because we think that the Academy for Gender Parity is just a very small private organizations. We need millions of such activities in Japan to increase women's representation. So we try to train trainers so that they can go local communities, and also they can also develop similar activities in their districts. So that's what we do at the Academy for Gender Parity. So we've been doing these activities in the last 3 years, and just after a year of our establishment, there was a consolidated local elections that was in April 2019, and 5 candidates ran from our students, and 4 were elected. And then there were also upper house election, and 3 candidates ran, and they were unfortunately narrowly defeated. And there are another 2 elections since then, and 2 won such elections. Since we are targeting young women, that means that participants include high school students and university students in the 20s and up to early 40s. Definitely high school students, university students are not ready to run for office because they need to turn into 25 to be able to run for office. So the numbers are still quite low, but we believe that in 10 or 20 years, there are more and more women who are going to run for election after they finish our training. And also we are currently training 12 elementary level trainers and also 5 intermediate level trainers. And since we lack women leaders, there recently, especially in the last 1 year, there is a strong sense of awakening in Japan. Many civil society leaders and general public realize that we really need women leaders. So I wanted to tell you that we have a side event next Monday organized by Japanese NGOs, and the title is "We Need Women Leaders in Politics and Better Society, Strong Democracy." That really reflects our current moment of the Japanese society. So let me share the video that we use at Academy for Gender Parity. Sorry. Okay. So this is the video that we created and used in
政治に
our
携わる者と
course.
して第一的に大事なのは人の話を聞くことで、その発してくれた言葉を受け止めて、その苦しみや痛みが一体どこから生まれるのかを、その根拠となる社会や政治のシステムを見つけるっていうことが政治家の大事な仕事だというふうに思います。だって今の政治システムに不備があるから、もしくは法運用に不備があるから多くの痛みが広がっている。共に生きていく空間を作る、これが政治の最大の仕事だと思っています。
それぞれの一人一人の国民の皆さんが疑問に思っていること、感じていること、
一番小さい人たちのために、糸小さきものって私は表現してるんですけど、糸小さきもののためにあるものだと思ってるんです。でも現実の政治って全然そうじゃなくて、橋作りますとか大きな話っていうのが最初に来てしまうんですよね。なので、政治の根本っていうのはもう本当に教科書載ってる通りで、富の再分配だったりだとか、もしくはですね、そういった生活の保障の問題だったりとか、本当に生きる尊厳、これを保つための、役割、仕事だっていうことを皆さんにもお伝えしたいと思います。
It takes 15 minutes, so I just give you only some part.
I 私は学生時代や20代とかそれ若い時はですね、男女平等って言われてもあまりピンとこなかった。だって平等でしょって思うんですね。どこが不平等なんだろうかって社会に出るまでわからない時があったんです。でもなかなか社会って女性に冷たいなって思うことが本当にこの10年、今33歳ですけれども、10年近く身に染みています。今の日本の状況、女性進出のことだったりとか、今の政治の場に女性の数が少ないことを考えると、女性が議員になりづらい状況があるっていうことが問題だなっていうのはすごい感じていて、その命をすごい思うのって多分女性の方が深く思ってると思うんです。
DV 防止法、これはやはり女性の議員の発想、女性の視点、着眼点があったからこそ、この DV 防止法という議員立法ができたんだと思ってます。男性だけだとなかなかこういう発想にはならなかったんじゃないかなというふうに思います。
で、みんなが生きていく社会をみんなで作るんだから、この政治っていう営みに参加してくれる人は多い方がいい。違った者同士を認め合う。どっちかが優れてるとか、どっちかが劣ってるじゃなくて、違うのだから認め合おう。そのためにはやはり女性の声ももっと反映されるようなシステムが必要だと思う。
当たり前の経済。
Okay, so hold on. Okay, let's stop the video. Oh, thank you for watching our video. So we use this video in our program, and there are many reasons that we created this video, because many young women in Japan said that they never had a chance to talk to politicians. So it's very difficult for them to find the role models among politicians. So we like to show this video to encourage, inspire them that they're actually role models for young women to pursue. And also, you may remember that the first question that we asked was, what is the role of politicians? And actually, everyone said that the role and mission of politicians is listening to what people are saying, listening to what they're hoping, or what they're suffering. That's what they said. And listening and also responsive to people's needs. That's so basic principle of politics. But that kind of idea is not shared in Japan. So when I show this video, and my students telling me that they were so shocked because they never thought that politicians is actually listening to people. Their image of politician is actually speaking like a top down and speaking whatever they want to say. And so I realized that we need to change the image of politicians, especially to young women. Politicians, the typical image of politician is sort of corrupt, and also they're just struggling for power. So as long as people have that kind of negative image of politics, it's unlikely that they want to commit to politics or engage with politics. So we realized that we need to change the image of politics. And that's why we use this video that shows that maybe a handful of politicians might be so corrupt, especially the top level. But if you look at different kind of politicians, we certainly can find politicians who serve to public goods and who serves to engage with politics to make a better society and also commit to their communities. So we use video to turn the image of politicians.
Sorry, Dr. Miura,
that's the
you
time?
have 1 minute
All right,
left.
all right. So I
Please
wrap up.
summarize. Thank you.
Right. So we think that we do think that Japan doesn't have a quota. So we think that political parties should adopt quota. Otherwise, it's quite difficult for Japan to catch up with other countries. But at the same time, this kind of civil society's endeavor to encourage women is also necessary, and also it's very important to target young women, because it's quite difficult for young women to step and come forward and step into this kind of activities. So we are lucky that we created this kind of organizations, and we attract lots of young women. So I hope that in 10 years we have very different Japan, hopefully. Thank you.
So thank you, Ms. Dr. Miura. Thank you for your presentation. And I think it's very important to empower young women to engage in politics. Yeah, I feel very similar. It's very similar to Taiwan's situation about 10 or 20 years ago. Yeah. Thank you for your sharing. And next, I want to invite Dr. Junok Lee.
Hello.
Hello. So the floor is yours, please.
Yeah. Hello. Can you see the screen that I am sharing?
Yes, sure. Please. We can see it.
Can you see?
Yes, we can see your slides.
Okay. Okay, what I can tell you is that the presentation I'm going to make about the Korean situation is somewhat different from yours. What I have to say that is I would rather give you kind of broad picture of what is going on in gender politics in Korea, rather than giving you that specific ideas about how to empower women in the public domain. Probably you may know about what's going on in Korea because we have been having dramatic change in politics in recent years. So firstly, what we had was a massive size of the candlelight vigils, and what happened next was that the National Assembly has endorsed the impeachment of the first ever female president of Korea. And the Constitutional Court has approved that the decision made by the National Assembly. And therefore, what happened is that the president was out, impeached and in jail still now. And even the former president of South Korea is in jail and sentenced to 15 years for his corruption. So we had such dramatic changes, and we can say that that is the restoration of democracy in Korea. So for the best, what I can say is that South Korea has proved that the politics, the first However, we regenerated the politics or democracy for the first time, or even prior to any other countries. And at the same time, what I can say that is such the energy of the society to change the politics has been carried out, the feminist movement in general. I can say that the most strongest civil society movement in Korea is at the moment driven by the feminism and feminist groups. So then there has been many happenings about, the feminist movement issues. Particularly, it was about the safety of women, and also it was about the women's rights to have safe work environment, and also it is about the women's rights in workplace as well as in the private sphere. And the Me Too campaign has been sort of like spread wide, so that it was disclosed by one of the prosecutors. Then it has moved on so many areas of art, sports, and also politics. So what happened is that one of the very famous director was accused of his sexual violence against women. And also the guy, the poet who has been nominated as the Nobel Literature was also accused of sexual harassment. And the politician who has seen as the kind of next power, next president, has been accused of the sexual violence against his secretary. And also the sports player who won the gold medal in the Winter Olympic has exposed that she has been perpetrated by her coach, and he is in jail. But it hasn't really stopped, which started from 2018, but it is still ongoing in South Korea. And the Professor Mari Miura and Changming are also kind of made a kind of the speech to be in the solidarity with the Korean women. So the Me Too movement has been going on and going so strong. However, if you just look at the first post that shows the all presidential candidates in the 2017 presidential election, as a result, the first person, President Moon Jae-in, was elected. And the year after, if we look at the local election, 17 provincial governors were all men. And actually, there hasn't been any women who have taken such a position as the governors of all 17 the major cities or the big provinces. So there was no women at all since South Korea was set up. However, in 2018 local election, what we saw was the feminist candidate who ran for the Seoul mayor election, and such attempt by the young women in her 20s has made a great impact for women, particularly in their 20s and 30s, to be aspired to run for the politics. So what I can say that is a feminist politics at the moment in South Korea, it is going contagious. And such attempts made by the feminist politicians who want to be politicians, really, has been sort of like trying to run for the politics in the recent general election in 2020. However, as a result of the local election in 2018, as you can see, the all provincial level governors are male, and 97% nearly are all male. And in local councillors, it got much better compared to before, but still 81% are male and 70% are male in all local councillors. So basically, the male dominance in South Korea is very much persisting. However, even such result, women have been sort of like trying to make their voices heard in public. So the campaigns that has been raised a lot in many different issues, like decriminalize abortion and about anti-spy campaigns. So like a kind of 300,000 women gathered together, which has been very much history. And it took place like 6 times in 2018. So what we have been arguing that in order to make the feminist voices heard and in the National Assembly, and also in order to make the National Assembly to be responsible and to be responsive and accountable for feminist issues, we need to change the electoral system. And after that, we have made that. Before, it was a mixed member majoritarian proportional representation system, but just before the 2020 general election, the National Assembly has passed the law to make it like a kind of associational, following the examples of Germany and New Zealand, so that the system has changed. However, 2 dominant parties have screwed it up. How? It was that by setting up the satellite parties, like as you can see on the right screen, the right picture, the Democratic Party has made a platform party, and United Future Party made a Future Korea Party, which had been argued that it is unconstitutional by scholars, but it didn't matter. So therefore, even if we have introduced a mixed member proportional electoral system, the proportion of 2 dominant parties has even increased, which was the highest since the democratization in 1987. So it reached about like a kind of 97%. However, such new electoral system has inspired women's groups, including myself, to establish new platform for women to participate in politics through setting up Women's Party. So Women's Party was set up just a year ago, and it got kind of noticeable. And many people have expected that the women's issues could be represented better by the Women's Political Party. However, it failed to get into the National Assembly. It didn't get any seat. And if I just tell you what is the great picture, like a kind of the most outstanding feature of Women's Party is that the 90% of Women's Party members are in their 20s. So it is a very young party, and what we can say is that the political aspiration of young women, particularly who identify themselves as feminists, have been politically aware of the necessity to have women's power and also the platform to achieve gender equality. As a result of 2020 general election, 19% of women got in, and South Korea has quota like Taiwan. However, the quota is not really in function. It's not really effective. As you can see, from the time when the quota was introduced in 2014 And to the 2020, there has been only the 6 percentage point has increased. That was it. And then if we just look at women's representation, it is mostly through the proportional seats. However, the proportional seats has been very small, only 15%. So like if we just look at the number 2% shows that there is a women in the SMDs, particularly Seoul area. So it is being very much dominated by the males in most seats for the local district. But if we just look at those number of women by party, what you can see is that small party has been trying to nominate more women than men. So it is just a party. The first two parties are nominated by the two dominant parties, whereas the other one is by the small party. So then such contagion effects tends to be led by the small parties, I can say. As I told you, the Me Too campaigns are still going on, and out of the 17 the male governors, there were two mayors in the major cities, including Seoul and Busan, have been stepped down. Actually, Park Won-soon Seoul mayor committed to suicide once he found out that his secretary, who he has been perpetrating, kind of harassing, has been preparing for the low file case. And the other guy who was the Busan mayor has to be stepped down, and he has many allegations of the sexual harassment. So then still the male dominance is so persistent. And also it is the major reason for women to stay in her workplace, but also to challenge, move up to the better women's leadership position. Because how is such things happen is that because there is a strong male bond and that male social groupings. That is how the women have been sort of like kicked out and kept put aside.
Sorry,
but
Dr.
then
you have 1 minute left. Thank you.
Thank you. So then what I'd like to kind of focus on here to show that what are the positive signs of the women's political empowerment in South Korea are these. Basically, these are the result of very recent research I have been conducted with other researchers. These patterns, which shows of the political participation in Korea, is that actually the young women are showing that they are very politically active as like men. The first photo on the left side shows that the women is as high as men. So in terms of the traditional political participation, and if we just look at the downside, the women tends to make a better, more active political participation online. And on the left side, if we look at the new ways of political participation, such as a petition or like a SNS campaigns, and also like a kind of buying the goods and participating in a kind of interesting political platforms, as you can see, the women on the left side is the highest to show their political will. And also what is interesting is that if they do have a strong feminist identity, they tend to participate more in politics. The last page is showing that women started making such the gender reversed political participation. The women's voting rate has been increasing so much. And the last election in 2020, what happened is that women's voting rate was exceeding that than men's voting rate in general. But if we just look at the age groups, so women in their 20s is much higher. The 20s and 30s are much higher in the voting participation. And also, if we just look at the how much women need to be represented in the politics, the first, the graph in the box at the left side, at the bottom, shows that women in their 20s, showing that the women have to be present more than 50% in politics. So then political aspiration for women is much higher than any other generations or any other the groups. So then what I can tell you is that there is quite much possibility for the women in their 20s to challenge the male dominance and change male dominant politics. However, if we just look at the political ambition, what is interesting is that men are more eager to run for the politics than women. And the last point I'd like to make is on the top, at the top on the right, showing that is that if we just look at about the women, the people's opinions about what they think about the quota, is that women and men do not really like use the word of women than gender. What it means is that if they think that the quota is for men and women, they tend to prefer for such system and the institution. But if it is about the women do not really want to be stigmatized women. So that is a kind of the trend which is showing about how women's or feminists, the political kind of aspiration and inspiration going on here in South Korea. So although we don't really have much kind of examples, many examples to share with you today, but that is how things have been happening in Korea. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank Dr. Lee's speech about the current situation in Korea. Okay, so I'm so sorry that we don't have time left for the further discussion, because the time we set up for this webinar is 1.5 hours. So I'm so sorry that I'm bad at time controlling. So if the audience, every one of you have further questions for our speakers today, you can leave the message on the chat board in our event page, okay? And if you miss any part of this session, you can replay this event on our YouTube channel. I will post it on the chat board later. And finally, I want to thank all speakers today, Dr. Jinak Lee and Dr. Mula and Dr. Peng Yingwen and Ms. Xiong. Thank you for participating in this event. I am very, very glad that we have this opportunity to read, to understand the situation about women's political participation in Asian countries, especially in Taiwan, in Japan, and in Korea. And thank you all. And I will end this meeting, and I hope we can keep in touch in the future. Thank you.
I'd like to ask you one thing that, you know what you have presented all has been very much interesting. And I can see that the Taiwanese experience is kind of moving far ahead from us. And would it be okay for us to have, the share, all the presentation files. Everyone has made a beautiful presentation files. Then that would be great if we can share. And I'd like to share what the Taiwanese experience has been like with my Korean fellows.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I send you the slide to Chin-Yin.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mibula. I can share on if you want the slides about our speakers, you could leave your email on the chat board, and I will email to you. Okay.
Okay, at the public, it's already up there, the CSW webpage of this event.
How is it?
Okay.
Actually, the CSW page is a bit confusing though.
So, okay, is there any further questions?
No.
Or I will end this meeting.
Yeah, I
Okay,
have a question. So if we want to have further discussion or, question and answers, how will we proceed?
It's not possible at all.
Maybe we can have another meeting in the near future. I will figure out.
Yeah,
and not today.
Yeah, I'm very interested in the Japanese and the Korean experiences. It's very inspiring, and we have some common strategies that I think I would love to know more details.
Yeah, I want to know more about Natua too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we have other chances to get together and have a further discussion about different countries' situation. Yeah. So that is not the only one meeting for us. So,
yeah, once COVID-19 is over, let's meet face to face. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Particularly the Taiwanese Gender Equality Party, is it right? Obangsi?
Obasang Party?
Obasang. Obasang sounds like very much like the Women's Party, and I'm pretty sure that the Women's Party members would love to hear your experiences because you have so many candidates to run for the Taiwanese politics, isn't it?
Yeah. In 2018, we have 21 candidates to run the election.
Yeah.
And in 2020, we are going to join another election too.
Yeah, so that particularly your presentation, those members who have been running for such things would be very inspirational. So are we taking photo before we end?
Yeah, let's do that. Please, yes.
Okay, so
how do we do it?
How do I do this?
Screenshot.
Everyone just smile. I will
Smile. There is somebody who is engineering us.
Want to see?
Okay.
Everyone smile. I will just capture all your photos.
Okay. Smile. Say cheese. Cheese.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll be meeting very soon in near future. And thank you.
Yes.
I will email the photo of today to each speaker. Thank you.
I will share my presentation file to your email. Would it be okay, Chin-Yi?
Chin-Yi.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr.
Yes.
Lee.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.